What's up, guys? Crypto Muser here with your daily news and analysis in the crypto markets. Now, the SEC I've talked about a lot on this channel. The corruption, just the going about it, the total wrong way of regulating this industry. Gary Gensler, I think we all thought, or at least I think most people thought that, when he took the helm of the SEC, he was going to be more for the people, less like Jay Clayton, where Jay Clayton kind of took a hands-off approach on crypto and didn't want to give it, obviously didn't want to give any guidance to the market, just like Gary Gensler. But, it seemed like he wasn't as educated in the blockchain technology and in the space, right? And when we got Gary Gensler, he was teaching classes at MIT about blockchain. He seemed like he understood the technology. He was for the people. He was going to come in and kind of finally give that clarity to the market and help level the playing field for the everyday person out there, right? But what happened? The exact opposite. As soon as he took, obviously we had the lawsuit against Ripple and XRP as Jay Clayton walked out the door, but you'd think that handing it to Gary Gensler and the new administration, that he would maybe do the right thing, maybe drop the lawsuit, or maybe cut it short and into a settlement and help out Ripple and XRP and as a U.S. company. But the exact opposite happened. It seemed like Gary Gensler was even worse than Jay Clayton, and this attack on crypto has continued throughout the year and a half almost of his tenure. So as we continue, the SEC continues their crusade against crypto, I will come on and point out this corruption or this wrongdoings of the SEC and how they are so just blatantly paid off by the higher institutions and banks that they obviously work for. Let's be real. They are working for the powers that be. They are not working for the investor, even though it says it on their, in their title. They are supposedly there to protect investors like us, me and you, right? But they protect I guess they only protect the investors that have, millions of dollars. And it's tough to see. It's tough to come on here, and just keep seeing these stories and keep seeing how they treat companies and how they treat blockchain and how they're treating Ripple and LBRY and these exchanges now they're going after. It's just one thing after another where it's like, when does it end? When does Congress step in? When does the White House step in? When does somebody step in to stop this ridiculous onslaught against everyday people and everyday investors in crypto? So the first thing I want to show you, this is funny because this is Gary Gensler when he was teaching at MIT, April 23rd, 2018. So this is actually right before William Hinman gave that Ethereum free pass speech in June. So this is before there was even clarity for Bitcoin and Ethereum. And he was talking, I think he worked for the CFTC back in 2016, I believe. So he's talking about how companies can come to the table, right, and talk to the SEC or talk to the CFTC to, this is kind of like what Commissioner Peirce at the SEC has been talking about, the safe harbor strategy where, companies have a certain time limit, 6 months to a year to come into compliance with the SEC. You kind of give them the leeway like we did with the internet. You kind of have the open space to, obviously when blockchains first come into existence, they might be a security, but if they morph into, and become more decentralized, they can become non-securities and finally abide by the law, in quotations, with the SEC and CFTC. So I want to listen. So this interview is kind of crazy because hearing him talk, it sounds like, oh wow, that sounds like a great idea. I wish the chair at the SEC had spoken like this and had the same idea, which is crazy because it's like two different people. When he was in the private sector, working, teaching at MIT and doing what he was doing, and then all of a sudden he became, chair of the SEC. What did his mind just change all of a sudden? So it's weird to think that this is the same person that we have running the SEC. Let's just listen to this quick interview just to hear you just to let you know what I'm talking about here.
Two kinds of problems. The people who issued the tokens Are they criminals? What happens to them? And then the people who are holding the token, were they scammed, and how do they get redress?
I think regulators around the globe will sort it through, but as you saw in the first of these last summer, the DAO, D-A-O, the SEC chose to write, I think it would be called an order, but they didn't actually then have a civil money penalty. They didn't charge. They just wrote an order and tried to change behavior. I think there is a reasonable case to be made that if you can come into compliance, if the Securities and Exchange Commission gives some number of months, and I don't know what that is right in a period of time, but some number of months or a year or whatever to come into compliance, then they'll look forward. The challenge is compliance is about disclosure. That's hard to do, but it's doable. Compliance is about the manner of sale. You can't change the manner of sale from 2 years ago, but maybe you can change the manner of sale going forward. Compliance is about beneficial ownership. That's a tricky one. Compliance is about anti-fraud and insider trading rules. So, you know, but I think it's more like, let's look forward, and there's 1,000+ horses running out of on the field that got out of the barn. We've got to kind of bring them into compliance. And even for Ripple and Ether, or maybe it's, you know, EOS or NEO or something, you know, but for the big market cap ones, there needs to be clarity in the market. And if the clarity in the market is that they're not securities, they might still be commodities, they might still need to comply with all those laws and so forth, but I think it's a period of time. But if you do an issuance now,
like, I mean, is that the same person? Is that really? That sounds like a great, you know, framework to come into compliance with the SEC or the CFTC, right? For regulators, it's almost like when he became chair of the SEC, that everything, you know, that some other power behind the curtain here controls Gary Gensler, right? And that makes sense to what we've always talked about on this channel, that the SEC is basically ran by, you know, big corporations like Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, you know, big banks, right? And, you know, Gary Gensler has worked, he was one of the youngest board members at Goldman Sachs. So he's been there for years, right? So would it really surprise you that, you know, there's other people pulling the strings, per se, with Gary Gensler? I mean, it would make sense, right? So it was funny to see this interview. This is before, you know, Ethereum and Bitcoin was given clarity with that William Hinman speech. So, I mean, this was just like, if this man, right, became the SEC chair and spoke the way he speaks now, then, I mean, we'd be in a different situation, wouldn't we? But I guess we'll never know. I guess we'll never know who's pulling the strings. The next thing I want to talk about, this is, so we're gonna speak about the SEC probably in this whole video, so just, you know, get ready for it. So recently, I think this was like 2 days ago, Hester Peirce, I believe you pronounce it. So she came down and she said, a new staff accounting bulletin on crypto assets and her thoughts. So she basically wrote a little article basically on her thoughts of, you know, how the SEC is going about regulating, in quotations, digital assets. And Stuart Alderoty, who's general counsel at Ripple, tweeted out just a snippet of that article from Hester Peirce, and it just gives you the whole, you know, paints the whole picture of even the commissioner within the SEC doesn't think that there's clarity, that the SEC is giving clarity to the market. And this is a quote, you know, Stuart Alderoty is tweeting it out, but this is a quote from Hester Peirce in the article. The commission has refused, despite many pleas over many years, to provide regulatory guidance about how our rules apply to crypto assets. So some of the responsibility for the lack of legal and regulatory clarity lies at our doorstep. Now, Ripple is fighting this case against the SEC, the agency that Hester Peirce is a commissioner at, and the whole, you know, case is based on that the SEC is saying that you had, you know, fair notice that you guys were doing something illegal. Like, the laws were clear enough that you guys should have known that you were doing something illegal. But then you have a commissioner coming out and saying, actually, we don't have, you know, we haven't given the space clarity, and there's a lack of legal regulatory clarity in the space, and it's up to us to give that clarity. So it's mind-blowing to think that half the SEC, or whatever, a certain amount, part of the SEC is trying to, sue Ripple and LBRY and all these other companies right now, saying there was clarity. There was plenty of clarity in the market. The rules were there. The guidance was there, and you guys didn't play by the rules. But then you have other people within the SEC saying there's actually no rules and that we need to, finally give some rules to the space so these people can, come into compliance, like Gary Gensler was saying in the beginning. It's just kind of crazy. There's just a fight within the SEC about this, and then you have this case with Ripple, and there's no way the judges aren't seeing this. If there's such a fight within the SEC, then there's no way this case against Ripple or against LBRY should even stand, right? And I think you have to think that the judges in these cases are going to be like, how are you going to tell these companies that they should have known better if you guys within the SEC don't even know what the rules are? So, I mean, it's kind of laughable, but I mean, this is real life. This is real life we're going through here. So LBRY, I just talked about, and I've been talking a lot on this channel now because it's not just Ripple. LBRY has been fighting this for 4 years now, and it's a smaller company, like I've talked about. I think it's like a $30 million market cap, like 30 million. That's nothing, right? And they've been fighting for 4 years, spending millions of dollars in this case. So LBRY posted this or tweeted this out yesterday. In 4 years of pursuit by the SEC, we've spent millions of dollars, provided millions of pages of documents, and spent 10,000 plus man hours. In all that time, the SEC has never answered a question or provided feedback of any kind. We want to follow the law, but no one will tell us what that law is. I mean, this is exactly what I'm talking about. Imagine you're trying to be a company, and they won't even tell you, the rules, right? They're basically like, we're not going to give you the rules, but go about your business, and if you mess up along the way, we'll just let you know, and we'll slap a lawsuit and drag you to this legal battle and put you out of business, right? This is a country we're living in right now. And then he continues on, or the LBRY continues on and says, the SEC says to hire lawyers. We hire very expensive, accomplished lawyers, even literally ex-SEC lawyers, and do what they say. Then the SEC says, no, that is wrong. And then we say, how can we fix that? And they say, oh, you can hire lawyers. I mean, that makes my brain hurt. I wonder how a company like LBRY feels. They're trying to do everything the right way. They're trying to, the American dream, start a small business, build your business, find financial freedom in this country, especially nowadays with, inflation going crazy. It's people trying to support their families out there. And the SEC, a government agency supposedly sworn to protect investors, is out there putting companies out of business, dragging them through legal battles. This is insane. This is insane. We need to put the word out there about this, because LBRY, obviously a lot of attention goes out there about the Ripple case, but the LBRY case really doesn't get that much attention because Ripple keeps, basically beating the SEC's ass on each filing and each part of this case. But LBRY doesn't have the money, right? They've been, putting out the money, but they don't have the resources to fight like Ripple does. So, no one really talks about them. But they're putting the fight in too. So we got to respect them too. We got to put them out, put them on blast. Jeremy Kauffman, the CEO of LBRY, is a boss. He's been, very transparent on how the SEC has been treating the company. He has not been shy about how he feels about the SEC, and I like that. I like, like Elon Musk coming out saying he does not respect the SEC. People need to call him out, right? They can't be the mob anymore. You can't be afraid of the SEC. This is bullshit. You think I'm upset about it a little bit? So let's get into. So this was Markets Insider tweeted out. The SEC says crypto platforms, exchanges that hold customer stashes must treat them as their own assets and liabilities. So now they want, now they're coming after exchanges, saying that they need to be more insured. They obviously pay more fines. They're looking for money. It's all about money for the SEC. It's unbelievable. And it's funny because John Deaton and, members within the XRP community, mentioned, when this lawsuit came against Ripple, it wasn't going to just be against Ripple and XRP, and everybody was, when this happened, when the lawsuit came down a year and a half ago, a lot of people out there, I saw Vitalik Buterin, I saw Joe Lubin, I saw a lot of people with Ethereum, a lot of Bitcoin maxis saying, Ripple, you should have known better. You were dumping on your community. You weren't doing it the right way. You deserve this. XRP guys, you deserve this. You bought a shitcoin. It's like, how do you feel now? Now they're coming after everything, right? You know, if you understood in the first instance that this was an attack on all crypto, then we could have, you know, fought this fight from the beginning. But now all of a sudden, now you're realizing has more to do with the whole lot of crypto, and now you're jumping on board trying to, you know, you see the blockchain association jumping on board on behalf of XRP. You saw the Digital Chamber of Commerce come on board defending XRP. It's a little late in the game all of a sudden, guys. It's a year and a half into this, and now you're, oh, maybe they're going to win this, so maybe we should get on their side. I mean, it just, your bias is showing, right? We know how you feel about XRP. We know how you all feel about XRP. Most people just don't, I think they just get the first information on XRP and they just stick to the story. That's what it is. It's, you know, Ripple controls the blockchain. It's centralized. But they don't actually do the research and actually look into it and see that, you know, XRP is an amazing digital asset. And yeah, Ripple the company, you can have maybe some beefs with Ripple the company, but they're a private company. They get to do what they want. This is a free country. I love when people say, oh, Ripple's selling all their XRP. You know, that's messed up. They shouldn't be able to do that. It's a private company. They own the XRP. They can sell if they want, dude. This is the beauty of this country. You know, when you're a private company, you can do what you want. When they go public, then, you know, the shareholders can have a say. But when any private company, it's up to them to, you know, make money for them, right? That's the beauty of the free market. That's another thing that gets me all worked up. But anyway, back to the SEC. So I thought this was great. Digital Asset Investor tweeted this out. I think more and more people need to be putting these videos out too, because I know that, you know, obviously there's 66,000 investors signed on to John Deaton's lawsuit against the SEC, but there's way more than 66,000 hurt XRP investors from this case. So I wish more people would tweet out videos of how they are hurt from this case, because it's got to be like hundreds of thousands, right? So I'm not going to show you this video, but it's just him saying, you know, I work paycheck to paycheck. He's from Puerto Rico. You know, I thought, you know, when I got into crypto, you know, I got into XRP, Ethereum, and Bitcoin, and I really did my research, and I didn't really know about Ripple the company, but I knew XRP was how it worked and how fast and cheap and scalable it was, and I just thought it was going to change the future, change the world. And meanwhile, he's investing his hard-earned money for years into this project, and then the SEC comes down and slaps this lawsuit, and he loses, you know, 75% of his investment. I mean, this is insane that, you know, hardworking people out there, you know, get into a coin that's been around for 7.5 years, right? One of the oldest digital assets, XRP is. And all of a sudden, you know, without warning, really, because, you know, maybe a little warning because they said that they didn't, you know, they always questioned if XRP was a security, but I don't think anybody really thought that they were going to come out, maybe against Ripple, and this is what John Deaton actually said, maybe they would come out and say, you know, Ripple, you were selling XRP back in the early days, and that was illegal sale of security, and we need to fine you. But the digital asset itself, XRP, can't be the security, right? You can't say that the secondary investors in XRP buying off exchanges or whatever were buying a contract, investment contract to Ripple. How could you possibly say that, right? And that's what they're saying. And that's what made the exchanges delist XRP. So you literally, you know, railroaded thousands, hundreds of thousands of XRP investors that, you know, some of them have been invested like me for 4+ years. I mean, how do you do that? How do you, and this goes to that Joseph Grunfest letter that he wrote Jay Clayton before he brought the lawsuit. You need to think about the people that you are sworn to protect, the investors you're sworn to protect. The amount of investors you're going to hurt is going to be the biggest that the SEC has ever done, right? You're sworn to protect investors. You're sworn to go against people that are frauding investors or that are scamming investors, and you did it yourself. I mean, it's mind-boggling that they don't see that, and it's mind-boggling that if they do see it, that they think it's okay. So more and more people, I wish more and more people put their, you know, videos out there, letting, you know, because people are seeing this, right? And, you know, like this person, this got retweeted 194 times. Like, if you put your video out there, will get out there, and we will retweet it, and we will get the message out there. So definitely put your videos out there if you have one. And so we'll end the video on a perfect note here. So Goldman Sachs, Gary Gensler's pride and joy, right? Like I said, he was one of the youngest board members on Goldman Sachs. They were bad-mouthing crypto. I remember, when I was first got into this and back in 2018 or so, all the big banks were always bad-mouthing, like calling it a bubble, calling it, it's all just a fad. It's like Beanie Babies they used to call, crypto. And, it's just pretty funny to see. It's like, what's that video? I forget the guy that would say, first they say it's nothing, it's a scam, it's a fad. Then they get a little more afraid of it, and then they start attacking it, saying, that's bad for the U.S. dollar, that's bad for the economy, that's going to get people wrecked. And then all of a sudden they realize it's going to happen, so then they start adopting it, right? Then they start saying, oh, yeah. Then this whole time they were buying it, obviously, because they knew, just in case, right? Let's buy a bunch. And then once they realize this thing is happening, well, let's get on board. Let's pump our bags, right? So Goldman Sachs was previously known as its anti-crypto stance. Today, it wants to lead the cryptocurrency race with new investment products. Surprise, surprise. Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, the big banks are coming on in. I mean, all those people that thought we were crazy, the banks are never going to buy crypto. They're never going to custody crypto. No way. Well, guess what, guys? It's happening. What? You really think they weren't going to get involved? All this money that people are making, you think these big banks weren't going to try to control this and get a piece of that action? Obviously not. And I will end the video there, guys. But remember, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. But remember, I'm not a financial advisor. Please do not take anything I write or say as financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. And thanks, guys. And we'll see you on the next one.